Biodiesel on our farm because it's a sustainable energy source, renewable, gives us less dependence upon foreign oil, and also is a product we produce on our own farm with our soybeans.
Hi, my name is Barry Alexander. I farm near Cadiz, Kentucky. We grow soybeans, wheat, corn, tobacco, and beef cattle. Today we're going to show you a short video that takes you through the growing season of soybean crop on our farm.
Standing here in a cover crop field that we planted last fall. We've just done our chemical burn down on it in order to get it prepared for planting soybeans in it here in a couple of weeks. We plant these cover crops in order to maintain soil health, trying to be better stewards of the land. These cover crops will hold the soil in place and to keep ground cover through the winter to help minimize any type of soil erosion. When we get down here and we look at our actual cover crop field now, we have the corn stalks that were residue left over from last fall where we did no tillage, and we planted our cover crop directly into the corn stalks that were left over. This field has not been tilled in approximately 6 years. So these plants that are dying right now, we used a chemical burn down on them to stop them from growing and to kill them so that they will release their nutrients back into the soil. They'll be there to nourish our soybean crop that we're fixing to no-till into this field here in a few weeks. What we have here is a no-till planter unit. You'll see the airbag that keeps down pressure on the ground, a row cleaner that cleans any fodder or debris out of the way, with a disc opener to cut a slot in the soil to place the seed, a gauge wheel that gauges the depth of that seed, and then a closing wheel here that closes the soil around the seed and gets any type of air pocket away from the seed. This is a air seed hopper that delivers the seed down through the disc opener and into the soil. You can see here I have 2 samples of beans where the beans on the right are coated with the seed treatment. The pink color is just a dye that goes into the treatment to show that they are treated beans. The treatment that goes on the seeds help keep the seedling diseases out and protect against insect damage, where the beans on the left do not have any treatment on it, and this would be the way they would come straight out of the field during harvest. You can see that it's placed the seed at approximately 1 to 1 1/4 inches deep and 2 inches apart. This gives us a seed per acre count of 140,000. After the disc opener has opened the soil, placed the seed, the closing wheels come behind, putting the soil back around the seed and eliminating any air pockets around that seed. We're back in the field here 5 days after planting. You can see we have some early emerging or some small emerging plants, some that have been up for a few days. All the plants are still healthy, disease-free, insect-free from our seed treatments that we've used. You can see we still have a weed-free field. All the dead plants that were here that were weeds competing with the crop are still gone from our chemical burn down. Here we are back in the field where we're planting 14 days later. As you can see, the soybeans are emerged. You have a good healthy plant here from the seed treatments we use, no insect damage and no type of disease occurring in the seedling plants. As farmers, we're constantly scouting our fields for pests like weeds, insects, and diseases. We've always walked our fields traditionally. However, with recent technologies such as drones and satellite imagery, we've been able to use these technologies along with our walking in the fields to scout these crops. This gives us the ability to find weeds such as Johnson grass, insects like a Japanese beetle, and diseases such as frog eye leaf spot that can have a negative impact on our crop yields. Being good stewards of the land and running a sustainable farming operation are very important. So that's why we only want to spray what's needed when it's needed. We're out here in our soybean field today preparing to make a chemical application to control weeds in soybeans. It's a common misconception that farmers are dousing our crops with chemicals and herbicides. This is just not true. Our application here today is going to be a 1,200 gallon tank with 97% water and 3% chemical and herbicide. The amount of herbicide we're using per acre is roughly the size of this cup. An acre is going to be approximately the size of a football field. We always need to keep in mind that farmers are some of the best conservationists and environmentalists around. Farmers in the United States produce the healthiest, most abundant, and most affordable food supply in the world. This is the same food that we feed to our own families, so we're certainly not going to do anything to the crops that we produce that would be harmful to our own families.
Leaves here dark in front of these little green bins like we normally do. We'll be loading here for a while.
Once we get into the straight rows, we'll have auto steer to where basically the machine drives itself, and the only controls I have to operate is just monitoring the head and how it's feeding, and then make the turns on the end. This machine's also equipped with Contour Master and a Hydroflex head, so the head controls are managed by the machine itself to contour to the ground and to raise and lower to conditions in the field where I'm not having to control a lot of the cutting of the equipment by hand. Harvesting soybeans, we cut them at a little bit of an angle, so you're not running directly with the row. In case there's any type of ridging where row cleaners have run, then your combine's not cutting with that and taking the top of it off, it's cutting at an angle across it. As the cart pulls up next to us, we'll take and unload on the go. The cart gives us the ability to never have to stop combining while we're unloading our grain tank and moving grain to our
tractor trailers that are hauling it to the grain facility. And what we're doing here basically gives you enough extra efficiency to make up the difference in having one extra combine, having an extra grain cart. So when we're running 3 combines, it'll give us the ability to run the equivalent of what 6 combines could run if they had to go back to the truck and dump every time they needed to unload their grain tank. Right now, starting out in the morning, we're harvesting approximately 17 acres per hour. As the day goes on and the crop gets drier and everything runs better, we can be running anywhere from 20 to 25 acres an hour with a 40-foot draper to get. If you get a good windy night, you may not have to stop at night. You know, we've had nights that we've run all night combining. There's an auger that unloads from the bottom and out of the side of the grain cart that takes the beans from the hopper on the grain cart into the back of the semi. Once it goes on to the semi pulls over a dump pit at the grain facility and drops the beans out of the bottom of the semi-hopper bottom. The pit at the grain system takes the beans up an elevator leg, which takes it to the top of the turn heads and swing flows and drops them down pipes into the bins at the grain facility.
Kentucky soybean farmers grow more than 100 million bushels of soybeans on 2 million acres every year. In the United States, out of every 10 rows of soybeans planted, 6 will be exported. Soybeans are the United States' #1 most exported commodity, topping $27 billion just last year alone. Other countries don't have the land available or the ability to raise this very versatile crop. As you saw in the beginning of the video, soybean oil is used in a number of the foods that we consume daily. The soybean oil is also made into biodiesel, which is used in many of our transportation modes. The other part of the bean is a byproduct called meal. It's high in protein and the ingredients are used in poultry feed, livestock feeds, and also feeding fish in agricultural practices here at home and in other countries.
As you can see, we're back at our grain bins where we delivered our soybean crop last fall. Once we sold our soybeans on the market with a contract, we'll have to deliver them to the buyer's point of delivery. In Kentucky, a lot of these points are on the rivers. Once the soybeans get onto the river on a barge, they'll go down to the Gulf of Mexico where they're delivered to the Port of New Orleans. Once they're in the Port of New Orleans, they'll be offloaded onto an ocean-going vessel that'll take them on the long trip overseas. Kentucky soybean farmers take pride in preserving the land for future generations. We care about providing a high-quality, safe feed, fuel, food supply for our neighbors, whether they're just around the corner or around the world. Thank you for joining us today. Please join us on our website and also follow us on social media.